Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining Ecosystem Week with Hedera. Today is DeFi Day, and we are going to do an overview of the DeFi ecosystem here on Hedera. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mica. I'm community development representative for Swirlds Lab. So I work with engaging the community, doing online and in-person events, marketing, and integrations. So feel free to connect with me on either Twitter or Telegram. You can find me at DeFi Girl. So for a more in-depth look into today's topics, please click the link below. This is a link to a full-fledged blog article about the DeFi ecosystem on Hedera. It has a lot more detail than what I'll cover in this presentation today, and it also has a lot of resources where you can follow along and learn more and take more deep dives into. All right, so let's get started. We are going to start with a little bit of history of DeFi. All right, so a lot of you might know the year 2008 for the financial crisis that it was. So this financial crisis was fueled by lack of regulations, which led to a lot of financial institutions becoming over leveraged. So they eventually collapsed because of this. So this caused a lot of distrust within not only the financial systems, but other trusted systems. So people were starting to realize that they were trusting a system that was very opaque. There was no transparency, and the people started wanting more transparency because this led to a lot of job losses worldwide. And it was just an economically really bad time. The recovery was very long. So on October 31st, 2018, 2 weeks after the Lehman Brothers financial institution went down, the Bitcoin white paper was born. So the Bitcoin white paper promised a system that would grant everyone self-custody of their own assets. It was a system that was transparent, not only in terms of the governance of the network that would settle transactions, but also into the transactions themselves. So it just promised a different type of a financial system. So since then, the term DeFi was coined, but DeFi has expanded into a lot of other networks other than just the Bitcoin network. So what exactly is DeFi? So DeFi stands for decentralized finance. So on a high level, DeFi basically gets rid of the third-party intermediaries. So this third party is replaced by something called a smart contract, which we'll look into. So it allows for self-custody of the funds and a peer-to-peer transaction network without that intermediary. So instead of peer to institution, it's peer-to-peer, so we cut it out. And then the transactions are visible publicly and in real time, so just a lot more transparency. So here's a little schema of the difference between centralized finance or traditional finance and decentralized finance. So here, as you can see, Bob will send the money to Alice through his bank, and then the bank will take full custody of the funds and then transfer the money between them. So Bob's bank will transfer the money to Alice's bank, and then Alice's bank will transfer the money to Alice. Whereas in decentralized finance and decentralized transactions, there is no bank. There's just a smart contract. So Bob sends funds to Alice directly, and through a program, a computer program, that transaction is sent directly to Alice. So the computer program is called a smart contract. So this is what replaces the third-party intermediary that we know in traditional finance. So smart contracts are written in immutable code. So this means that nobody can change the code. And they basically work on if-then statements. So in this example, if I have 100 HBAR and I deposit into a smart contract that says return a 20.1% of the balance as annual percent yield. So after 1 year, those 100 HBAR will become 120.1 HBAR. So the if-then statement would be if there is X amount of HBAR in this contract, then return X% or Y% of the balance as APY. and that way I will get yield. So in the current market conditions, a more realistic APY would maybe be 4 to 5%, but this is just an example that we have seen in the past. And then it's important to talk about institutional DeFi. So there's a difference between the DeFi that we're going to talk about today and then institutional DeFi. So the DeFi that we are talking about today is DeFi that is on the ledger, is DeFi that is built on top of decentralized applications built by developers that are facilitating this new network of finance catered directly to the end user. So institutional DeFi is a new wave of DeFi that is coming in that is controlled by the institutions. So the institutions are realizing that there's a big demand for more transparency in the financial system and more trustlessness. And they're also realizing that the technology of distributed ledger technology is actually one that can be leveraged for a lot of the operations that institutions are currently using. So in institutional DeFi, we have things like CBDCs and on-chain bank remittances. So this is a whole other category of DeFi that's very important, but that we're not going to cover today. Today, we're just going to cover the DeFi ecosystem on Hedera. So what makes up DeFi on Hedera? We have wallets, bridges, staking, DEXs, and launchpads. So for the wallets is basically the first user experience in DeFi. A wallet is to DeFi as a bank account is to traditional finance. So you can look at a wallet as a place where you store your assets, where you can see your transactions, and you can make transactions. So these are the hot wallets or online wallets that are on Hedera. These are the most popular ones. You have Walla Wallet, Mingo, Hashgraph, and Blade. And then, of course, you have the Ledger wallet. So one thing I want to stress is before you open a wallet, make sure that you read all of the security precautions because the scams are endless and they're becoming more and more thoughtful. So a lot of people get scammed. Just be very careful. All right, next we have bridges. So bridges facilitate the bilateral transfer of assets from one network to another. So for Hedera, we have Hashport, which is the main bridge of Hedera. So it allows the transfer of assets from Hedera to other networks, including Polygon, Ethereum, Avalanche, and Binance Smart Chain. Then we have staking. Okay, so what is staking? So Hedera operates on a proof of stake consensus mechanism. So this means that the network only operates because there are staked assets to it. So what does it mean to stake an asset? Well, it means that you are telling the network that you trusted by providing it with resources that you're going to lock up within the network. And those resources will be like a proof of trust, proof that you trust it. So if you're staking to a node, you can expect a certain return on your staked assets. And this is network staking. So this is staking that is native to the Hedera network. It allows the Hedera network to keep functioning. It is through these stakes. And then there's another type of staking, which is staking on dapps or decentralized applications. So for staking on Hedera, we have staking with Stater Labs and with Saucer Swap. So when you're staking to a dapp, you are also providing trust to that decentralized application by giving them your resources and staking them. So the way that they will make money is basically by returning a percentage of the fees that they're charging on their decentralized application to you as someone who has staked them, or they're going to be trading your assets and returning a certain percent of the profit to you. But what's great about decentralized finance is that everything that is happening you can see in code that is open source. So it's not opaque and it's very transparent. Next, we have the DEXs. So there are three main DEXs on Hedera. We have Saucer Swap, Bubble Swap, and Heli Swap. A DEX is a decentralized exchange. So this is where users will go to swap funds. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about exchanges here because the way that they work is also through code, and they're done through a market maker. So this is a community basically coming together and pooling their funds together to provide liquidity in liquidity pools so that that liquidity is there for other users to buy assets from and to trade. So this is probably the most popular DeFi product is a DEX, and we have three of them on Hedera at the moment. Next, we have launchpads. So a launchpad is basically a platform where new tokens can launch from. So this is a crowdfunding in a way where the community can basically pool their funds together to support a project that they're optimistic about. And then this will actually provide benefits to both the project and to the investors because it will give the investors a very pre sort of they will be the earlier investors that will get a better deal on the market value once the coin goes to market or it launches. And then what happens with the project is they actually get a community from the existing launchpad, so it's a win-win situation. So on Hedera, we have HBAR Suite as a launchpad, and we have HeadStarter. So that makes up the gist of the DeFi ecosystem on Hedera. So there are a lot of other DeFi opportunities that builders can leverage in order to add value to the network. So we are lacking in decentralized stablecoins. At the moment, we only have USDC on the network. We are lacking in decentralized lending and borrowing, decentralized insurance platforms, decentralized prediction markets, and asset management tools. So as you can see, there are a lot of opportunities to build on Hedera and for other applications on other networks to come over to Hedera and grab a portion of the market share of what's on Hedera. So this is an overview of the broader Hedera ecosystem beyond DeFi. So this is a great resource by one of our community members, Dave. So thank you, Dave. Okay, next I'm going to touch on the development of the DeFi Accelerator by Swirlds Lab. So Swirlds Lab is the company spun out by Hedera to help grow the network. And to help create native products on Hedera that other DeFi products can leverage in order to build their own applications, such as community tools and open source enterprise components. So the lab is working on products that leverage the unique Hedera technology in order to provide the best user experience, among other benefits. All right, let's have a look at the Hedera DeFi metrics. Okay, so DeFi on Hedera is relatively new because the Hedera codebase has only been open sourced as of very recently. So as of August, actually. So in this chart, this is the TVL, which is the total value locked, so in terms of HBAR on the network. So you can see that the initial liquidity was brought in May by Stater Labs. So Stater, this is April. So Stater came in April, and as you can see, the TVL slowly grew up until mid-August. And then this is when Saucer Swap launched. So Saucer Swap was the first DEX on Hedera. As you can see, it increased the TVL by quite a bit. And then in October, we had a Heli Swap and Bubble Swap launch, which gave us another very big spike. So here we're going to have a look at the daily active ecosystem accounts. So as you can see, when Stater people got excited about the DEXs that were getting ready to launch, and then once the Saucer Swap launched, the active users skyrocketed, probably because people were curious, they were checking out Hedera, and then we've stabilized at about double the amount of active users that we had prior to the DEXs being launched. So as you can see, we can sort of hypothesize that the more DeFi protocols are operating on the network, the more daily active ecosystem users will be there and the more the community will grow. All right, so why would you want DeFi on Hedera? Why would you, as a user, want to use DeFi on Hedera, as a builder, want to build, and an institution want to integrate with Hedera? So first of all, there's the Hedera native service and EVM compatibility. So the native Hedera technology is faster, more scalable, more efficient cheaper to use, and more sustainable than most other DLTs. This is really cutting edge technology, and this is something that anyone can leverage in order to provide really like the best user experience for themselves also, not just the users. So although the Hedera native technology offers all of these great advantages, the industry has basically established an EVM compatibility standard amongst Web3 builders. So catering to the market demand, Hedera is now also EVM compatible, and we are working towards EVM equivalence. So you can write smart contracts in Solidity on Hedera and leverage the EVM, which is really cool. So Hedera has a very unique attribute called fair ordering. So fair ordering is powered by the Hashgraph consensus algorithm. So this will basically eliminate what is known as the mempool. So this is when validators will order transactions, and they might extract some value from that ordering of those transactions, and they might also make it so that the transaction fees are higher because they can decide, they can get bribed very easily. So on Hedera, we don't have that. It's fair ordering, so the transactions are time-stamped and ordered accordingly. So this is very special because this allows Hedera to do what other networks cannot do. So it could be having a game of hot potato or musical chairs, or it could be having an auction house where people can bid on something, and then the bids are shown in real time, and you can't sort of bribe the network in order to order the transactions differently. So another great thing is the predictable fees. So the fees on Hedera are denominated in US dollars and paid in HBAR. So this is awesome if you're an NFT artist who's launching a collection. You know exactly how much you'll be paying for your fees before you launch your collection. This is also awesome for users because then you don't have to worry about the fees fluctuating when the network has more user activity on it. You know that they're always going to be fixed and very low. It has the ultimate user experience, so many users will stay away from DeFi and stick to more traditional finance because the user experience is better. So the terrible user experience with most DeFi protocols is a big barrier to entry. So the Hedera network allows for the fastest confirmation times compared to other networks. So this is a very positive experience for most users, which I believe will bring in a lot more users to Hedera, is just a fast transaction speed. So here we have an example of Saucer Swap, which is a native DEX on Hedera. And this is a confirmation time. So this is a comparison of Saucer Swap on Hedera compared to other DEXs on other networks. As you can see, Saucer Swap on Hedera is significantly faster than most other DEXs operating on other networks. Another great advantage is we are sustainable. Hedera is committed to having a positive impact on the world. So the Hedera technology is more energy efficient and more sustainable than even the Visa network. So Hedera actually goes beyond just great sustainable technology and really strives to be carbon negative. And we actually achieve that. Hedera is able to achieve this by actually purchasing carbon offsets. And then you can see proof of authentic purchase of these carbon offsets on the website, which is going to be linked in the blog. All right, last but not least, for the benefits of coming over to the Hedera community is the community itself. So the community is incredible. So this is a list of different resources built by the community, and this is just a few of so many. I couldn't include all of them in here, but the community has really gone beyond anything that anyone could expect by basically building up developer tooling and resources and just a good environment for anyone to learn and build in. So check out all of these community resources and join the community by joining the Discord, which is also linked in the blog. All right, so how do you get involved with Hedera? So if you are a builder and you want to build a DeFi application on Hedera, check out the DeFi Alliance on Twitter. So make sure that you reach out to them. They're there to help support anyone that is building DeFi on Hedera. You can also check out the open source DEX tooling and make sure to connect with the community on Discord. That's very important. So as a community member, if you're a user and you want to get started on Hedera, make sure to check out the ecosystem page. Also check out the Learning Center. You can learn a lot on the Learning Center that's on the Hedera homepage, and definitely join the Discord. And if you are an enterprise and you are interested in integrating with Hedera and being involved with the rest of the governing council, then make sure that you fill out this form linked here. This is a link to the HBAR Foundation, so reach out to them and they'll get back to you. And that's how everyone can get involved with Hedera. So this wraps up the presentation for today. This is a broad overview of the DeFi ecosystem that already exists on Hedera and where the opportunities lie for those that are interested in building on Hedera. So today we're going to have presentations by some community members talking about their different DeFi protocols. So make sure that you stay tuned for the rest of the day as they'll be presenting some really awesome things. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.
Hi, and welcome. I'm here just to give you a very quick overview of what the DeFi Accelerator is and what we are planning to do. For more information, feel free to reach out via the appropriate methods. So, as you know, the DeFi is all the rage and it's always getting news. But to be specific, our mission isn't to build DeFi apps. It's to make it easier for you guys to build your applications on Hedera. So what that means is our focus is open source and also the tactical bits. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to let it so you can focus on the things that differentiate your application or your dapp, and we can basically build out all the other different bits. So as I said before, all the work we are doing is open source. I have put links to the different GitHub repositories out there. We have a Solidity contract repo. We have UI components coming soon. We have a simple UI that uses all these contracts, connects up to a Hashback and soon to Blade, and hopefully to MetaMask as well. And we also provide a starter template, which I'll go over in a second. So the first thing we did is we built a very simple DEX. The aim here isn't to compete with other DEXs on the market. It's more just to use this to figure out what else we need to build. The other key thing here is we have a DAO sub-DAO relationship in the liquidity pools and in the DEX itself. So what that means is that you can actually build this DEX and have people voting and doing all their governance inside of it, as well as having a super DAO or a DAO above this, which potentially can limit or step in if they need to. So that's something that you don't normally get in a regular Uniswap coin, for example. So we've done that. Okay, and again, here's one of the things that we have, and big credit to the Lab 49 guys for helping us out with this. Our plans for the future is, we're about to go through those, and obviously we are having what they call ambitious plans. They will change, obviously, as we get your feedback, and we are also looking for your feedback on these to help us drive what you guys think is super important that we will want. So, the first thing, starting out is always hard. So what we've done to help builders is we've built a code template. Again, the GitHub repo is on there, which basically we use internally, and it helps us build smart contracts. It does the build, it pushes the contract up into Hedera's testnet, and then what it will do is it'll also create an upgrade proposal to the governance that we'll go into in a second, to actually allow the DAO holders to vote if they want this upgrade or not. So we've got all the different componentry in there. And again, you don't have to make it vote. You can make it go straight into upgrade if you choose to, but we're trying to make it so this is the best practice of how things should be, how we think things should be The next thing, as I alluded to, is an on-chain voting system. You can't have DeFi without a controlling or organization called a DAO. You can't really have a DAO without voting, so we've built one. The major difference between what we've built and others is what we are doing is 100% on-chain. We are working with the Hashgraph DAO working group, the standards on what a proposal looks like and the different metadata and all those kind of things. And we're basically building out some very simple operations so that governments can vote to pay somebody, i.e. to fund development or fund a development team. They obviously can vote to upgrade a contract. Now, in this example, we've made a DEX-specific one to whitelist the token, so you're allowed to actually use that token on the DEX. But again, anything you want to vote on, we can basically add it there. And what will happen is when the actual proposal time is complete, it will actually execute that function. So it can be any smart contract action that you want. And this is what I've seen in a lot of other places. And again, this is open source and will be available for anybody who wants to use it and extend it. The third thing that we're really building is a set of helper contracts to make better dApps. So we're basically calling them building blocks. And we're going to go through what they are, but they're very simple things. A vault just holds money, and we send money into it, and then people can claim the rewards. So you stake into a vault, let's say. A splitter is something that splits money, obviously, and I'll go through discuss it in a little bit more depth in the next one. And again, we have a white paper or a very Word document that goes through these in more detail, provides numbered examples if you need to follow along. So the first thing that we want to look at is the splitter. Now, in its basic form, money comes in and we want to split it into different directions. So we want to do a 70-30 cut. So, for example, we want to take out fees and redistribute them somewhere. This is a very simple way of doing it. So here's an example. As you can see, money comes in, tokens come in, and you can split them into 3 different places. Okay? They can be wallets or they can be other contracts. The next thing what we can do with this is we can actually use the vault contract to build a term deposit type system. So what that is you have a choice of holding at the moment we've used unlock days, of basically holding your governance tokens and you locking them up for a different period of time. And depending on how long you lock them for, you get different rewards. So the longer you hold them, the better the rewards that you get. And in this case, we're using another variation of the splitter, which will basically do that. It uses the TVL in the vault itself to help with the allocations. But the aim here is that as money comes in, 30 times the amount of that money will go into the people who stake for 14 days compared to the 1 day. And 14 will go to the 7 day. So all of a sudden you can adjust these things, and these multipliers are obviously set by DAO governance voting. So you can actually decide how you want to do it, or the DAO can decide how they want to split them up as well. Gauges are also pretty popular. Now, this is a different way of doing splitting, but it's more of a real-time type splitting type thing. So what this is, instead of basically writing a proposal and waiting 7 days, you can use a token and you can basically push that token or vote with that token into the splitter on what multiplier you want. And the more tokens that go to a given multiplier, the better it is. So what that means is if I have an interest in going to Sync B, for example, I would get these tokens and I would apply them to the Sync B path. And if more people do that, or the proportion change as we do that. So what will happen here in this case is the pink sources, or where the revenue comes in, would be divided by the weights of how these people vote. That's a gauge. These are very popular in what they call curve wars and bribing, and we'll go into those things. That's just a very simple way of doing things with a splitter. Okay, so far so good. Now, if we want to go and combine some of these things, we can actually build an incentive mechanism. So think of an incentive mechanism as a general marketing budget. So, for example, an auction house may support 3 different types of NFT collections. A DEX might have 10 different liquidity pools, or a loan rate or a loan application might have different loans on different types of currencies or tokens. So what will happen is all these rewards are going to come into the loan house or to the DEX or into the NFT auction house via but they'll come into the first bidder. What we will then do is we will redirect some of those into the term deposits for our governance holders. Again, the longer you hold the governance token, the more rewards you get. What we're also going to do is actually start having the vaults start creating what they call a VE token. And that is what you'll be using to actually vote, where the rest of the money, what we call the incentive pool, how that gets distributed. We've also stuck in here another contract called the converter pass-through. What that does is it takes the incoming token stream, uses a DEX, which is anybody's DEX, this has to be a smart contract, converts the other tokens into the governance tokens. And that is what we are going to give as rewards to these different smart contracts. It doesn't have to be, we can take that out if we wanted to, or we could change it to USDC, or to HBAR, or to whatever. Okay, so this is a combination of the different things, and again, this will allow a lot of the different places to use these contracts to build better dApps or build more engaging dApps. And the reason why you want to do this, as a dApp, you want people to hold your governance token and create demand for it. This is one of the ways, which is what they call curve wars, or places of bribing, that people encourage users to actually hold a governance token as opposed to getting it as a reward and then selling it straight away. So thank you for listening. Once again, we're open for feedback and engaging you guys. We think it's an exciting time, and we're looking forward to people using these things, and as well as other ideas coming from you guys, and hopefully other people contributing to this to make the DeFi ecosystem a better, more fun place and a better place for others to work with.
Hello everyone, my name is Tudor, I'm the founder of HeadStarter. It's my great honor to be here with you today for the Hedera Ecosystem Week and talk more about the ecosystem enabling initiative called the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance. Hedera over the past few years has been widely regarded as an enterprise-oriented public ledger. But we've seen a recent shift in the way that the network is being used and perceived. We've seen rollout of NFT projects and marketplaces. We've seen the inception of the HBAR Foundation that has done a lot to enable growth of projects building on Hedera and the overall network activity. We've seen the launch of pioneering DeFi applications and the emergence of some GameFi apps and so on. But right now, a lot of the attention has been brought towards the Hedera because of these retail-facing applications. And we've seen quite a few successful projects building in the space. With all infrastructural pieces now ready on the Hedera network, wallets, marketplaces, DEXs, launchpads, we are really set to see a transformative year for 2023. The Hashgraph DeFi Alliance has a clear mission: promoting disruptive innovation built on the Hashgraph technology with trust, reliability, and sustainability at the heart of a vibrant collaborative community. This will position Hedera as an undisputed leader in the blockchain space, inviting all value-driven decentralized applications and their founders to develop their Web3 applications on the Hashgraph technology. Like most great projects and initiatives on Hedera, the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance started off as a grassroots initiative from 3 co-founding bodies. We all shared the ambition of seeing DeFi money Legos being rolled out in a sustainable manner on Hedera going forward. The three parties are HeadStarter, which is the Web3 crowdfunding ecosystem project and accelerator of the Hedera network that specializes in IDOs, or initial decentralized offerings of fungible tokens, or initial NFT offerings. SaucerSwap, the pioneering DEX on Hedera that currently features more than 21 million USD in TVL, where its DeFi products include liquidity pools, farms, single-sided staking. Last but not least, Stader, a multi-chain liquid staking platform, where the Hedera network plays a flagship role in terms of all the other networks they cater for, with more than 60 million USD worth of HBAR locked in their yielding cryptocurrency called HBARX. And they also feature multiple other DeFi yielding opportunities. As early DeFi projects on Hedera, these three co-founding projects were collaborating on multiple fronts, from strategy to technical integrations. For example, HBARX is being used on multiple liquidity pools on SaucerSwap. HeadStarter will be soon publicly releasing new products that leverage both Stader's HBARX as well as SaucerSwap liquidity pools, and there's some other initiatives happening that are not public yet. We encourage collaboration, supporting the development of DeFi instruments, the integration of existing ones, and building towards a wider adoption of decentralized finance. In order to enable the growth of Hedera's DeFi ecosystem, it is imperative to have a cohesive and collaborative approach that helps steer the direction by promoting inclusivity and industry best practices. Hedera, the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance, welcomes game-changing projects and forward-thinking teams, join forces, and collaboratively find solutions to potential challenges arriving in the fast-evolving Hedera ecosystem and the overall cryptocurrency industry. The Alliance has been founded with some immediate goals: facilitating open source software and resources to network participants and upcoming members, share learning and support between members. The Alliance has been founded with some immediate goals: facilitating open source software and resources to network participants and developers, sharing learning and support between members, promote knowledge sharing and competencies development for new entrants, organizing hackathons and community building in real life events, but also online ones as well, encourage standard adoption, compiling research about DeFi and industry trends, assisting the community with educational products and outreach, and in the future also support certain public initiatives with grants. The Alliance has contributed publicly in a few aspects so far. HeadStarter has created the Hedera software development kit called Venin.js. Also, it was formerly known as Strato.js, and it will ultimately turn out to be a full-fledged dev tool, helping a lot of the developers built on Hedera natively. We also have a HDA common repository where already SaucerSwap has open sourced their Discord faucet bot, but also we have some other tools and bots that will be open sourcing in the near future. Also, probably more publicly, the community is more familiar with the Sentinel project. The Sentinel offers a open source methodology for evaluating projects and tokens, and should be used by anybody as a start for any DYOR into Hedera projects, but also is being used publicly by SaucerSwap to whitelist new tokens that are launching on their DEX. Right now, our immediate initiative is to launch the HDA website and start accepting new Alliance members. When new Alliance members will apply to join the HDA, and they can be either projects or individual contributors, they will be assigned towards various working groups. And these working groups will further develop, but the immediate first ones will be Educational and Awareness Group, Hedera HIP and DeFi Standardization Group, Dev Tooling Group, among others. With that being said, I'm very thankful to have had the opportunity to talk more about the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance, and we're really excited to collaborate together with you all in the future and really set the footprint towards building on Hedera and building the DeFi future together. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this version of the Hedera Ecosystem Week. My name is Jesse Whiteside. I am the Director of Business Development for Hashport. We are an interoperability platform for connecting the Hedera public network to the broader DLT ecosystem. And today I'm going to be taking you through very briefly our platform and more broadly speaking about interoperability and how that plays into the overall ecosystem picture with respect to DLTs and Hedera in specific. So to start things off, what Hashport is. Obviously, we're an interoperability solution, or otherwise known as a bridge. And we're connecting the Hedera public network into the broader DLT ecosystem, as I alluded to. Currently, we are connected to 4 of the largest, most active ecosystems that there are: Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, and BNB Chain. And our interoperability solution, is quite unique in that we are leveraging Hedera Hashgraph technology, and in specific, we're using both the Hedera Consensus Service and the Hedera Token Service in order to facilitate porting transaction requests. And when we first started to construct Hashport, obviously security and ease of use for end users, whether they be retail or developers or enterprises, was top of mind for us. And so we currently don't have a platform token ourselves. We've constructed the solution with as few steps as possible in order to migrate assets between the connected networks. And we're also leveraging a validator swarm, and that is a group of industry-leading organizations that have come together to offer a much higher level of functional trust with respect to interoperability. And I will walk you guys through that in the next slide here. And so we've currently got 9 validators that are industry-leading organizations from around the space that have come together to help Hashport in its mission to provide a high level of security, speed, and fairness with respect to migrating assets between the supported networks. From top to bottom, we have the HBAR Foundation, obviously. Polygon Network itself is a validator. Galaxy, which is a decentralized social media platform that has been created by Spencer Dinwiddie of the Dallas Mavericks. BCW Group, which is a leading strategy and consulting fintech firm out of Asia. Hex Trust is also one of Asia's leading digital asset custodians. WorldPay from FIS, who is also a Hedera Governing Council member, has come on. StableNode, which is one of the sister companies of Mica DAO and the DAI stablecoin. Animoca Brands, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, decentralized gaming studio in the space. And to round things out, one of the best system integrators in Lime Chain Technologies has come on board. And between these 9 members, what we have sort of tried to do is emulate what Hedera has been doing with their governing council, in that these are leading orgs that have very high level of public visibility and brands, and leveraging those values, we're able to create a much more forward-facing or consumer-facing level of trust with respect to the solution, as these are the members that are helping to secure the Hashport platform. And so how Hashport works, as I mentioned before, we are leveraging the Hedera consensus service in order for porting transaction requests to be migrated between networks. So when a user comes to the platform, they submit the request, and any one of the 9 validating members are able to pick that transaction request up. And when they receive that request, they sign off that they've seen that request, and they then begin to circulate that transaction to the other remaining members. At which point the platform is looking for a supermajority of signatures, which currently would be 509 signatures. And once that's achieved, what ends up happening is that transaction request is actually submitted as an HCS topic to the network on Hedera, and is logged immutably with 100% finality when that occurs. And this is quite unique in that other interoperability solutions don't leverage that, and so you're still left with probabilistic finality with other interoperability solutions, whereas this is logging that transaction request immutably on the spot. Once that happens, we have a subsequent message that's sent to a smart contract endpoint on the destination network, and from there, that message just tells the endpoint to mint, or contract, I should say, to mint the representative token. In this case, it would be, in this example, it's HBAR going from Hedera to Polygon, and minting an HBAR OX token and depositing it into the user's wallet. Conversely, on the return, the same thing happens, only in reverse. What will ultimately happen with the user is they will burn that same token, and the same process ensues with the validators. And a message is again logged as an HCS topic on Hedera immutably, and from there, a message then is sent back to the native network, in this case Hedera, to unlock or put back into the user's wallet their native HBAR. This can be repeated with any of the platform's supported tokens, and so in this way, leveraging HCS and also if assets are coming from other networks onto the Hedera network, leveraging the Hedera token service as well, minting tokens onto the Hedera ecosystem. And so why use Hashport, and more broadly, why use an interoperability solution? There are quite a few reasons. Interoperability can mean quite a few different things to different people in the space, depending on how you are approaching it. In our case, what Hashport is enabling is the movement of tokens and value between these networks, and allowing for a greater amount of exploration by users within our supported networks. So obviously DeFi is one of the primary drivers of adoption of new L1 and L2 networks, and in connecting Hedera to the broader ecosystems, this is no different. Being able to allow the free flow of assets from other networks into Hedera, and allow new users to come into the ecosystem and explore all of the new emergent dapps and dexes and different DeFi platforms that are building and growing on Hedera, only increases the adoption rate of the network over time, and is one of the primary reasons to use a platform such as Hashport. Moving forward, also NFTs and gaming will become more and more of importance to decentralized networks, especially as the traditional gaming world also starts to pile into leveraging these distributed networks and being able to do very unique and interesting things around digital ownership and rights management and all sorts of things that empower end users. So in terms of current decentralized gaming platforms and tokens, being able to leverage different networks and different functionalities is going to be more and more important, I think, as platforms start to expand within the space. One of the main things for us at Hashport that we've looked to do also is dapp migration and expansion. So, a lot of platforms that are currently residing on the Ethereum ecosystem or other networks that may not have the same kind of performance characteristics that the Hedera network does, offering the ability for users to easily or developers or creators of dapps to easily migrate their platform token onto the Hedera network is something that we've seen breathe new life into platforms. Previously, April of this year, we saw Dovu, a platform from 2016, migrate their token across into the Hedera ecosystem and allowed them to take full advantage of the cost effectiveness, the fairness, the speed, the security that the Hedera network offers. And they've since created several new products that current just would not have been possible on their existing architectures. We also just added a new platform called Union Finance to the platform, and they're also looking to do something similar and coming to Hedera and being able to offer their services. Moving forward, this likely will be more and more the case as platforms begin to understand the benefits of leveraging the speed, security, cost effectiveness, and environmental sustainability of the Hedera network. More of these platforms will be coming across, and we're seeing that with every successive month. The other use for Hashport is for Hedera-based dapps that have started their journeys on Hedera to be able to actually expand out into the broader DLT ecosystem and offer access to their platform and their tokens where users otherwise might not have. So, for instance, in this case, Jam and Galaxy are two platforms on the Hedera network that would really, benefit from being able to offer their services or market to new users of different networks. And so being able to offer their token on multiple platforms is definitely beneficial. And then lastly, in terms of looking at obviously the lifeblood of much of the ecosystem in terms of stablecoins, being able to architect new payment flows and rails that allow for stablecoin assets to be able to be moved around between other networks is incredibly important, and being able to reduce the friction with which these assets flow between networks is only going to increase the speed with which these networks become adopted. And then so just moving forward in terms of Hashport as an enterprise solution, we're also looking to be able to leverage our services and capabilities for enterprise users who really need a heightened level of feature set other than just simply moving assets quickly between networks. So, obviously the validator swarm is quite unique, and being able to see real-time data as it pertains to those HCS transactions just adds another heightened level of security and data information. Proof of reserves is obviously something that's on top of everyone's mind currently in terms of being able to offer that assuredness of assets that are currently being held. Given everything that's happening currently in markets, this seems to be becoming more and more an importance, and we look to offer that to enterprise users. Also, being able to offer an API. Our API service we have full documentation for, and essentially we allow both enterprises and individual developers and creators and platforms in the ecosystem to leverage Hashport on the back end and be able to effectively provide a way to leverage an interoperability solution without necessarily having to direct users to the front end solution that Hashport currently has. Obviously, custodial and KYC integrations would be important for enterprises. And then also to round things out, having sort of custom interoperability channels to allow platforms to effectively move assets independently of different pools of assets that are held on an interoperability solution, so that they're segregated away from other assets that are unrelated to their use cases. And then lastly, where the platform is heading. Over the first year in operation, Hashport has gone from supporting 3 networks to 5 networks, as well as over 72 token pairs, and many of the most popular tokens that you'd see come into newly emergent DeFi ecosystems. As we move forward, obviously, we're always looking to offer new ways to provide the best interoperability experience to users, and as such, we will continue to sort of push the envelope with what is best in practice, both from a security and feature standpoint, and also really just listening to you, the users of the platform. We want to be adding the best networks, the best tokens, and the best features that will allow you to enable your given use cases, or really interact with distributed ledgers on your own terms. So if anyone ever would like to reach out, please feel free to do so on all our social channels through either Twitter or directly through support@hashport.network, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation. And that's everything for us. Thank you for joining and hearing me talk a bit more about interoperability as it pertains to the Hedera ecosystem. Looking forward to connecting with all of you great users and ecosystem participants. Talk soon.